How's it going, guys? Joe Drake here at Gravity and Oxygen Fitness, and I am beyond excited for today's Facebook Live video with my friend and one of our amazing GNO members, Miss Shivani Gupta.
Hi, Joe.
And I appreciate you guys as you're kind of tuning in right now. We've been sending out some information, trying to get a little bit of excitement going on for this, and our goals today are to not only better understand who Shivani is, a little bit about Fusionary Formulas as a company, as we, myself, Paul Christopher, and GNO as a community have been able to interact with Shivani as a client, as a partner in many aspects, and we just want to bring you guys, resources and people who are truly invested in helping others and trying to drive forward a positive movement. And Shivani, I'm glad that has been with you in the past year or so. So I'm going to allow Shivani to do a little bit more explaining. I'll give you a little bit on the gravity and oxygen side. We initially, got to interact with Shivani as a client, as a personal training client, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that as well. She's also the founder and CEO of Fusionary Formulas, which you guys will get to find out more about that as well. And she's now transitioned even further into speaking, presenting. She's sought after from organizations and businesses to come in and speak on not just things like health and wellness and the products, but success and mindset and vision. So Shivani, maybe you can give us a little bit more of an introduction of who Shivani is, and then also let people know how did you first interact with and kind of come across gravity and oxygen. How did we get here today?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Shivani. I live right here in South Florida, luckily right next to GNO. I am the founder of Fusionary, which is a line of supplements that's carried by doctors' offices. So mainly orthopedic surgeons, chiropractors, and acupuncture physicians carry the product. And then we also have people who interact with us via our website to purchase. And we've been really, the best thing about the company and what we've been able to create is it's based on Ayurveda, which is an ancient system of medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. And so we use all these herbs and spices from Ayurveda that are so potent and help with inflammation, help with joint pain, help people eat less carbs and sugar, help with recovery. So it's been beautiful to create something that I initially thought was really for doctors to help the patient. And then as I've been on my own fitness and health journey and used it myself, I realized, what? We all could use this support to achieve our fitness goals in the gym, to get that body we want, to feel the way we want. And that's kind of how I ended up meeting you guys. I held an event about two years ago called the Transformation Summit. And we were looking for local, amazing health and wellness practitioners. And I thought, why not bring someone? And I heard about you. And so we had Paul Christopher come, who was one of our panelists. And when I heard him speak, I was like, wait a minute, that place is not just a gym. That's a place where they know what they're talking about. And I come from a medical family down here. All my family is doctors. So although I love to push hard at the gym, I never want to do so in a way where I'll injure and then I'm out of the game. And so I came to this gym specifically to build myself into a stronger person without injury. And that's what I've been able to do here, is you guys are so mechanical, so specific, so careful in how you train us. And so as a personal training client, I actually went from where I was to losing 20 pounds, to having such incredible strength. So it's been amazing.
And anyone who's listened to PC Talks knows this is not a normal gym, and I love it because that's exactly it. And I feel like for us not having interacted with you not only from the supplementation side or personally before, can you tell us a little bit about what types of things, even within Fusionary Formulas, and your focus either grew or shifted from you going through your own process and journey, right? Because you had the company before you ever met us. You were focusing on helping people, and then you spent a lot of time focusing on yourself. Maybe you can kind of share a little bit about what that has done or what that did for you at the time.
Yeah, well, I grew up with a father who was a total health nut. So my whole life I was exposed to working out with a trainer, working out in great gyms, drinking green juice, taking amazing supplements. So that's the ethos of my whole life since high school, amazingly. And then I studied Ayurveda throughout as well. And my mom had an amazing training gym she worked at when I was in high school. I trained through college. So fitness to me has always been the thing I do for my happiness. It's the thing I do as the anchor of my health. And then I add everything else on top of it. I add healthy eating, I add supplementation, I add all the pieces that I need to have the healthiest, strongest body possible. And so within Fusionary, there's great herbs, But what I did when I worked out here, and what happened was actually, I went to Transformation Summit, my own event. I got the photos afterwards, and I was appalled at how I looked in the photos.
Yeah.
Everyone else was a health and wellness professional. They all looked amazing, and I was so shocked. I was like, this is not the epitome of health. How am I going to inspire others to live their healthiest life if I don't look the part?
Yeah.
And so I joined Gravity and Oxygen. I started with PC, and a couple months in, I was like, I'm changing, but this is not fast enough. Like, I want the result now.
Like everybody.
Yeah. And he said, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And even now when I get impatient, he's like, remember, be patient.
Slow it down.
And consistency will get you there. And so really working out here has taught me how to have a much more focused, sharp mind. You know, I get so much out of my workout, not just the physical getting to look lean and strong again, but my mindset has shifted. You know, sometimes people put us on the Versa climber for 1,500 feet like today, and you really have to dig
Josh.
Josh, exactly. And you have to dig deep. And I always remember when Paul Christopher stands next to me and says, you can do this. This can happen. You're doing this. And so it's really been for me, how do I push farther and how do I push faster? Because I have all these dreams in the world. But I find that if you can do it in the gym first, you can do it anywhere outside as well.
I love it. And anyone who's been able to spend some time, I know some of you guys who are watching have been fortunate to meet Shivani and spend time with her, and she's just such a positive energy to be with and being here in the environment. So it's been nice to have all those things with us. Could you tell us a little bit too? Because my thought is, you know, what you were just saying about some of the stuff that you've gone through and dealing with making the transitions in your life and the role that fitness and health plays into that. I automatically think like, wow, I'm sure there's a lot of people that can probably relate to that. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about, I say your ideal customer, but I mean like the people that you're trying to help, right? You know, maybe there are some of you guys who are watching right now, you've never heard of Fusionary, you've never heard of Shivani, but to better understand like the kinds of things you're trying to address with what you and your organization are doing.
Sure. So these are supplements based on Ayurveda. Ayurveda can actually address everything when it comes to our health, our wellness, our prevention. And so when I speak now, I speak much more on the prevention side. But in terms of what the herbal supplements do themselves, the way our orthopedic surgeons and our doctors use it is for acute pain, for chronic pain, and any sort of joint pain, any inflammation in the body, so any itis that you have going on can be benefited from these herbs. And my whole PhD dissertation was on turmeric. So it's my favorite herb to talk about. And what I tell people is if you take it in the right potency, in the right dosage, it can have significant health benefits. It can dramatically reduce inflammation. So in all of my research about disease and what we're dealing with, I figured if we could just take something herbal and good for you every single day that drops your inflammation down, then you've already set yourself up for success. And then I have other herbs that help with recovery in the gym. So doctors use it post-surgery for their patients for muscle recovery.
Yeah.
Well, I used it here in this gym for my muscle recovery so that I can keep coming every day and, you know, not complain or not try to skip a workout. And then my last one that's my favorite is called carb control. So that one has an herb in there that turns off the tongue's ability to taste carbs and sugar. And then it helps regulate your appetite and regulate your blood sugar levels. So when it comes to achieving my goals in the gym to look and feel the way I want, that's how I use these different herbs to get me there.
I love it. And what do you feel like, or maybe you can talk a little bit about even just the psychological impact, right? So you have the physiological changes that are happening in the body. And again, we can even link to some of you guys, like some of the further understanding, right? Because there's a lot of things going on and we don't have all the time to explain everything.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't come across information about inflammation and, you know, how that impacts the body and, you know, all types of different disease states and acute and long-term injury and recovery. But what about just the process of, right? So you run through Fusionary Formulas, you run challenges throughout the year.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
people have the physiological changes happening in their body from taking, but what about just the process of like making the choice to do something like this? Do you feel like there's power in doing that as well as the power in the challenges you do? Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you're doing with that and why it's giving people results.
Sure. So you know what I find is usually people come to us when they have a problem. It's I've got joint pain, I've got knee pain, I can't walk, whatever that issue is. And so when I talk to them, I just want to get them out of pain first, and then we can start talking about, all right, well, what are you doing for exercise? How healthy are you eating? I can do an Ayurveda lifestyle consultation to kind of assess with someone, what do we need to eat for our day to run well. And we do 21-day challenges in Fusionary because that's an opportunity to get people to take it consistently for 21 days, because then they'll really feel the benefits, because oftentimes consistency is the issue.
2 days, 3 days, and then it's not working. So
Yeah, and they'll put it away on a shelf.
Yeah.
So, question from Italy: why is turmeric becoming a mainstream as an effective anti-inflammatory?
So that's a great question. So,
Yeah, and as we're
Sorry,
on here
a little
too right
difficult to
now,
read.
guys, definitely continue to put on their questions. We'll address that one right now. And the other questions that we have, we'll address probably in like the last 5 to 10 minutes. But definitely, please, as you guys are going, please let us know what questions you have, because I'm sure there's plenty.
Yeah.
But if you want to address
Sure.
that, I'd love to hear the answer.
Turmeric has become so popular. So there's turmeric milk, there's turmeric orange juice, there's turmeric everything I'm seeing in the health food store.
I think that there may be
I'm
some
sure that has
in this Fit Aid right here. Yep, so there we go.
Everything has turmeric.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it took me a PhD in this topic to understand how we're doing it wrong and how we can do it right. So when you take a sugary drink like orange juice and you add in turmeric, just the powder, you're not doing yourself much benefit. And it really does take curcumin, which is one of the active ingredients, out of turmeric in its most potent form to significantly drop inflammation.
Yeah.
And so creating a turmeric supplement, I kept thinking, how are we better? How can we push the envelope forward? And I actually added the most potent form of curcumin you can find in the world at a 98% potency with turmeric, the powder, with black pepper to totally increase the absorption. And I'm a researcher, so it's interesting. A lot of our orthopedic surgeons call us and they're like, Shivani, my patients aren't taking their narcotics post-surgery. My patients aren't taking certain things that they were taking before as anti-inflammatories that have negative side effects. They're held with your turmeric. And so it's really beautiful, because now I feel like, okay, well, if we can significantly reduce inflammation, what a great preventive we're taking every day. I used to spend so much time taking superfoods. So I would take this superfood, that superfood, all these things. And now when I look them up, I'm like, you know what? I think I've got it with my turmeric. I don't need to take all those.
Yeah.
So I think turmeric's becoming mainstream because we know it's a powerful anti-inflammatory, but I think we're not taking it right to really reduce inflammation. We're just kind of sprinkling it on things and not getting enough.
Well, and if you guys are watching, to kind of address that question too, I mean, that's rampant across the supplementation industry, right? You can put it on a label, but is it in the active dose? Is it doing anything? Or putting things in there that they give you a feeling of doing something, but what's actually happening? So, yeah, definitely. And you guys you're looking at the pretty much considered the foremost researcher in the topic itself too. So I'm sure even after this, that Shivani will have no problem maybe linking us to some resources.
Sure.
For those who really want to dive in and understand more
For
too.
sure.
But yeah, please keep accumulating questions on there, guys. We'd love to address anything turmeric related, life change related, whatever.
Yeah.
So you were speaking a little bit to the challenges themselves, right?
Yes.
That process of 21 days to experience it and go
Yeah.
throughout change. Maybe you can give us a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so 21-day challenge is really that opportunity to get them on the same page as us. Like, let's say we have 100 women join us in a 21-day challenge. We try to start pretty basic on healthy eating and those things, but I also like to teach the principles of Ayurveda, which is beautiful self-care rituals for every single day. If you believe in taking care of yourself, then you will make the time for the gym. Then you will make the time to take a supplement every single day. But I find that if you don't start there at that basic level, then really it's, all right, I'm working out because I just want to, I have to, or I have to take this supplement. For me, every single self-care act I do every day is my act of love to myself. So I would never skip it. Like, I can't even imagine my life without this gym, without my supplements, without the way I eat. And so that's really what the challenges are for, is to show everyone that if you love and take care of yourself, you can have everything that you want.
Well, I find it interesting too, for anyone watching as well, thinking a 21-day challenge, I would almost think like, hey, someone's doing that, all right, cool, it's going to be 21 days of intense exercise, and you're addressing not the exercise side. Not to say you're not speaking about it, but why do you focus so much on like what's going on here and that piece, rather than put them into exercise?
First of all, you guys address fitness, so I don't need to. I tell everyone, just go to Gravity and Oxygen and it'll change your life.
Yeah.
I don't need to teach on fitness. You guys have got that.
Love
Perfect. But I do remember when I started training with Paul Christopher, we did the Versa Climber in the back, And he's like, get to it, just do it. And I had to literally find a way to take myself out of the present moment, put my mind somewhere else, and dream of something that made it worth it to go through the pain that I was going through. Because I was a beginner at this gym. And I remember I imagined one day there's this big event called the Women's Symposium in Boca, and I want to speak on that stage. Within a year of me imagining that and focusing here and building my body, I got to speak on that stage in front of 400 women.
Yeah.
And so it really proved to me and reinforced that if you work hard and you put your heart in the right place and you put your mind where you need to, which is, I want that thing, I know I can get it, let me just find the coach or the person who can hold my hand and help me get to where I need to go. And that's what I did, and thing after thing is happening so beautifully now.
I love it. So what would you say is the core purpose and mission? It doesn't have to be the mission statement verbatim, but
Sure.
like, what's your mission at Fusionary Formulas, and then also Shivani as a person, right? Because I'm sure those are ever evolving, but maybe you can kind of give us some insight into that, right? We know
Sure.
on the surface level,
Yeah.
supplementation, but what are you all about?
So Fusionary's mission is to provide powerful, potent Ayurvedic herbs to people in a way that can transform their health. That's the goal of Fusionary. We're transparent, we're authentic, and we're all about the potency. And it's done beautifully for those things, and it's really amazing to hear people ask what they want next. So I can't wait to develop newer supplements for stress management, for thyroid adrenals, for focus and memory. Ones
And
that I want.
are those things you're kind of thinking on now?
Yeah,
And, yeah.
those are my next ones. And then people have asked me for a way to put turmeric gold in their shakes. So that's my next thing that I'm building, is how do we just add this to our shake throughout our day. And then me personally, it's really expanded. When I came here a few years ago, I was not the same person I am now. Like, I plan to impact millions upon millions of lives with Ayurveda. So with the herbs is one piece, but also with that self-care piece, and with how can we all put the building blocks in place to have that ideal weight, and to be at the ideal weight and that ideal gut health and metabolism. If you have that piece, I truly believe you've prevented those chronic diseases from coming. The ones that plague my family, which is diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's. Like, I just want the world not to have those. So that's my personal mission.
Boom. That's one worth sharing. I like it.
Yeah.
So for someone who would be watching right now, or someone who hasn't been fortunate to interact with either of us or both of us or GNO and Fusionary, but who could use this, and who knows, even maybe in listening, hey, like, I understand these things, but there's all these things preventing me from taking action.
Right.
What do you think that first step could or should be for somebody, to start? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people would aspire to feel this way, to be doing these types of things. How does somebody get started?
I think there's one of two ways. Either you join an amazing fitness gym and you just start walking and moving, because I find that just the momentum of moving your body clears your mind, makes you take that time to, doesn't even make you feel great, and thus you'll make the time for everything else that's healthy.
Yeah.
Or the other way is where I meet a lot of people, they're in pain, and that's why they cannot do the exercise and movement piece. So I help get them out of pain first. I'm like, all right, let's take some turmeric, let's take some stuff for inflammation, get your knees great, get your hip great, reduce that pain, and please get moving. So one of the two is a great way to start.
It's funny how pain is the ultimate motivator, right? All of a sudden, like, when you can't do anything, and I can speak to it on two ways. So my back, went out, whatever that means to everybody else.
Yeah.
I had a back issue probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and like many people, probably from some things I wasn't addressing long-term: flexibility, mobility, intensity. And, I'm setting down a pair of push-up handles and down I go.
Yeah.
So first off, one reason I bring it up is because, hey, one of the first things that Dr. Brock recommended, he's like, hey, here's some Fusionary Formulas in the process, right? I had an acute issue and injury.
Yeah.
So was taking that, but also just recognizing that, unfortunately, most of us don't take action until something like that happens,
Right.
or let's say you have a heart attack or something else.
Yeah.
Right. So, kind of with some of those things in mind, what does recovery mean to you on a broader scale, right? Because I know a lot of your purpose and your products are short-term recovery, but then long-term recovery as well.
Yeah.
So if you had to kind of define and give us perspective on what recovery looks like for people from a broader perspective,
Yeah.
what is that?
So in the gym, I try to push hard, and I've done programs here at GNO, like GNO Lift, where you are lifting heavier and heavier.
And this girl's gotten strong, which is awesome.
And when we did like the 100-pound chest presses and deadlifts, I used to say to PC and Joe, I'm like, I can't do that. I'm just a short, small Indian girl. And they're like, pick it up.
Get that out of your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have gotten out of my head. Now when I see a barbell, I'm like, I don't care what I think I am. I know that I can lift that if I want to. So it's been amazing, but I also do a lot of recovery because of how hard I like to work in here. So I have a supplement called Optimal Performance that I now rely on because it has herbs in there like ashwagandha, bala, it has amla in it. These are all herbs that give you muscle recovery, but also give you endurance and strength for the workout. But there's no harm to them. So it's not like taking something that's like a metabolism booster or made of chemicals. These are just from the earth. They're herbs and spices. So I take that and I get a lot of muscle recovery from it. I also do Epsom salt baths. I also make sure I have a yoga meditation practice in place. Not every day, but as many days as I can fit in.
Yeah.
I go get cryotherapy. I get massage at a reflexology place. So based on how hard I'm choosing to push myself, I have a whole toolkit of recovery that I use so that I don't injure and I can keep coming in.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. So with all that you have been doing personally, right, you've gotten through kind of some of your own personal journey, and that's ever ongoing for all of us.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people can also relate too. So on top of being an amazing GNO member, CEO and founder of Fusionary Formulas, public speaker, also super mom, which is its own whole other additional career.
Yes, it is.
How do you balance everything, right? Because I'm sure some people watching not only interested in the products and you as a person, but
Sure.
Balancing everything, right? So even those who have their own companies and are watching and kind of trying to do maybe what you do.
Yeah.
How do you balance that, life, work, stress, all of it?
The way I look at it is there's balls in the air. And I have so many dreams, but there are certain balls I cannot drop. Because when they drop, I am irritated and angry. So I have my fitness one, which is like my health, my happiness. I don't drop that ball.
Yeah.
I have my supplementation and my superfoods. I don't drop that ball. Sometimes food drops because you travel and you get off track. So I just get right back in here and I get back on my journey. And with my company, with motherhood, obviously the motherhood ball can't drop. I have to stay an awesome mom.
Yeah, of course.
And then there's your company, and then there's your aspirations. I'm writing a book. I want the whole world to know what Ayurveda is, and that if we use modern Ayurveda, this concept I have, we can truly transform our bodies and our lives. So for me, I just move everything forward a little bit at a time. I know last year I was doing my PhD, really focused on the kids and everything for them, transitioning through their different grades, and building the supplement company at the same time. And there was definitely a push and pull because you have to pick, do I work 8 hours today or do I work out and then have to shower and get ready? So those things, I just plan ahead very meticulously now. So I'm like, okay, on Sunday I set my calendar. My GNO workouts come first. Then what are the meetings I've committed to? How do I move people so they don't interrupt my workout?
Yeah.
And then how do I pack food and snacks in a way that I have stuff with me on the road? Because if I stack too many meetings, I don't get to eat.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, and then you're not prepared for your workout. I carry my supplements in whole bottle form in my handbag, just so every time I look in my bag for my credit card or something, I see them and I remember to take
I
them.
gotta take it. I know it's in there.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
and
have
I'm sure you get like the John Tolberts of the world who want them give them to them as well. So it's like, hey, I got it on hand.
Yes, well, we have some amazing people who've taken it.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the name, but there's one of the fittest men on earth is taking Fusionary
I think
right
we all
now.
know who it is.
And that was so
Paul
exciting.
Christopher. No, I'm kidding.
So true. But I saw that come through in the Fusionary orders and I was like, oh my God, you are an ultimate CrossFitter and you're taking this for inflammation. So we're doing a lot of fun things now.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps the joy in it, right? You
Yeah.
have to keep the joy in these things, otherwise why would you do them?
And how do you feel about like the frustration, right? Anyone who's trying to change their body and wanting to see results faster, right? You mentioned wanting the same thing.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then you just mentioned realizing that in your life, like you've got to get like this little like stair step back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So does that ever butt heads for you on where you want to go and where life is able to let you go?
Yeah.
And when that happens, how do you deal with that, right? Because I'm
Well,
sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Sure, and I mean, we're in summertime, so everyone's traveling and everything is in a state of change. I've been on the road for 17 days. I just got back. So as soon as I get back, I'm like, all right, back to the non-inflammatory foods, Shivani. Well, it takes a week. So I now give myself a week of forgiveness just to change my taste palette back to what I consider the right way to eat. And I remember many times I've come back from trips and I'll talk to Paul Christopher and I'll say, PC, look at this. Like, we gotta, I have a speaking engagement and an interview in 2 weeks. Like, I gotta look awesome. And he's like, Shivani, you used to be here. We got you to perfect for your stage day. Now you have a little drop and you know how to come back.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of peace. So whenever I'm off track, I'm like, you know what? This is just a couple weeks of focus. I've done this goal before. Because I lost that 20 pounds here and doing everything I did, I know how to get to that body that I had on that stage. So I don't have any fear around it. I just know that it's consistency, it's self-love, it's great supplements, it's consistent time in the gym, recover well, and that's it.
And I think that's a good takeaway for a lot of people. I think especially in our social media, as you guys are all on Facebook and Instagram watching this right now, social media driven world,
Yeah,
right? We get this
true.
image of everyone else, and if you're on Instagram, everyone's doing a bodybuild competition or something else.
Or these
And-
yogis.
Exactly. Well, and people get to this level, and then those who get to that level struggle with not staying there, and that's mentally tough. And then those of us who aren't on that level are like, oh man, why am I not there? And it's a challenging self-comparison. So I think if you guys weren't paying attention to what Shivani said, I think there's a lot to that, and being okay with the fact that human motivation is not always at its peak.
Yes.
And it can't be, right? I mean, that's this ebb and flow of life.
For sure. And I know this summer, I don't know, I saw a video come up of me doing pull-ups during GNO Lift.
Yeah, you
and I
did.
saw my 30 pull-ups, and I was like, wait a minute, I want that body again. That was my own body a year ago.
Yeah, you did it.
I can get there.
Yeah.
So it's just about understanding that you can have anything. It's just that consistent effort and taking breaks.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I want to make sure we leave a little bit of time for any other comments or questions that might be on here.
Yeah.
Shannon, did we have any on either Instagram, Facebook that we didn't already speak to? No, that's great.
Just that
Well,
one so
if
far.
you guys are watching this after the fact, please feel free to hit us with any comments or questions for Shivani, for myself, Fusionary Formulas, GNO. I want to make sure that you guys have a chance to connect with. Again, Shivani is an amazing resource, just a phenomenal person in general. I might be a little bit biased because we're fortunate to have you here. But for you guys who want more information about Fusionary Formulas, supplementation, Shivani as a speaker, presenter, and all that she's up to, where can they connect with you?
So 2 places. There's fusionaryformulas.com, and we're on all the social media, having fun with everybody on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. And then I also have ShivaniGupta.com, where I'm sharing a lot of that Ayurvedic wisdom piece. With Fusionary, we stay so focused on the herbs and what they can do. And on Shivani, I'm sharing a little bit more about self-care and modern Ayurveda and how we can put self-care in place so that we fit everything else in.
Which I love. If you guys there's not too many email lists that I love being on, but I would definitely recommend getting with and getting on Shivani's.
Thank you.
You're not gonna hate opening up those emails and getting that kind of information. So I hope you guys took a little bit of something away. If not, we enjoyed being able to sit here and talk a little bit. I got lucky to get to talk with Shivani a little bit. And if you guys liked it, please again feel free to like it, comment on it. Please share this out with anyone who might benefit from this information. And keep an eye out for more great stuff from Shivani and Fusionary Formulas, as well as the GNO crew.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
All right. Thank you,
this
Shivani.
was so nice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram world, we're out.